We are counting down the days until Chiefs training camp kicks off in St. Joe's, and I know you guys are just excited to get through this and to that part of the summer as I am, and we get to see Chris Jones and this defensive line group get after it. We get to watch Patrick Mahomes and the offense go at it with the new weapons that they've built around him and get ready for this offense to take the next level. But what I want to start talking about is some of the camp highlights. Players that we don't know, that we don't expect, maybe that we didn't have enough film on beforehand to really dig into right before training camp as players that you really should be looking out for when it comes to the training camp purposes. That's what we're going to do today. A little bit of a camp highlight player, an unknown player, somebody Ryan and I are both very high on, and I have acquired film of that player to talk about today on RGR Football. My name is Daniel Harms, Senior Film Analyst, and if you guys are new to RGR, please hit that sub button right now. Become a member here to grow and follow along, and then allow me to earn a like from you guys as we get into Fabian Lovett, defensive tackle out of Florida State, one of the Chiefs' undrafted free agents, and he's a big player. One of the bigger players going to be on the Chiefs' defensive line, listed at 6'4", 314 pounds, and he has 35.5-inch arms. So we're talking about a guy that was a starter at Florida State up until his last season. He was more of a rotational player. At that point, comes in first and second down and really gets after it in the run game. So let's go ahead and get after it today so we can really dig into this player. Wearing number 0 for the Florida State Seminoles, and I know our guy Avery, who does some great work on his own YouTube page with graphics and breaking down film and prospects and stuff, is going to be happy to watch this one about Fabian Lovett. And why I'm showcasing him today is in large part because the Chiefs are searching for something at defensive tackle besides Chris Jones. They bring back Derek Nottie on a 1-year contract and Tershawn Wharton on a 1-year contract. They've got some question marks, we'll just say that, at defensive tackle this year. And one thing that we've all kind of accepted, I've definitely accepted, is that the run defense just isn't going to be a priority for Steve Spagnuolo. But this is a player with not the most athletic upside in the world, but we're talking about a physical player. I want you to just kind of see this athletic position he's going to take, taking on a double team. So he gets in there, he gets that base really, really wide. Now he's going to use that to really anchor himself in there, lift up here, and then move that guard around him so he can knife in between the double team. So right there, he uses the momentum from number 64, who pushes down on him to just keep that momentum right here. Like, look at this. This is a big guy getting down, bending underneath, and not letting himself be moved from the point of attack, taking on that double team, shedding the guard, and then taking the running back and getting to that tackle. So one of the more impressive positions you find yourself in is taking on double teams. As a guy plays 3 tech, plays 1 tech, he can play 1. I would say he could play anywhere from nose to 3, maybe a 4-eye. That's where you're lined up on the inside shoulder of the tackle. You mostly want him inside doing this, handling dirty work, keeping your linebackers free. And we know from experience that guys like Nick Bolton want to get downhill quickly in the run. And I do apologize for some of the clips here. One of the games that I watched was against Louisville, and the quality was not the best. So we have to do what we have to do. And again, I do apologize for that. But this play here is, you're going to be able to see it pretty quickly and pretty clearly, no matter what no matter what we have going on here. So with that big 6'4" frame and his 315 pounds in his long arms, he has a really good way to really push and pull. He's got strength, he's got pop in his hands, and he's able to establish that. One, he does a good job of keeping his eyes on the football and locating that. So right now he's reading this play out. That's why he's engaged, and he's not moving one way, he's not moving right, not moving left. and he's not going forward and trying to just get the quarterback or get the running back. He's identifying where that football is going, and as soon as he finds out that the quarterback pulls it, oh, bye-bye. I'm going to pull that guard right through and send him sailing. So one of those areas that while he's got a lot of experience, I believe he played 5 years in college football, you need to be able to be shaped, right? And push-pull is a very useful pass rush move, but it's also useful against the run where you're going to establish, you're going to locate the football, and you're going to shed your block. That's what he needs to be able to do a little bit more effectively, is that block shedding. And one of the things that I love about Lovett is that he plays without gloves. At least he did this past year. And I find that just very refreshing for a defensive lineman whose hands, you have to use your hands. They get bloody, they get nicked up on helmets and shoulder pads and everything like that. To come in here and play the way he does, as physical as he does, really does a nice job. And then we're going to focus a little bit on the run game and the way that he's able to anchor himself in against double teams, because of the fact that Derek Nottie, while really good against the run, he's also, from Florida State. So you got a nice little college connection there. The Chiefs have brought him back on one-year deals the last 2 years. They're trying to fix the defensive line. They're trying to find what works, and they haven't been able to get anybody settled in. That's why we're seeing these guys that they didn't really want to bring back, brought back. And I think that Fabian Lovett, what he's going to bring and why we're highlighting him for training camp focus is because he's already been flashing at OTAs. I think that Joe Cullen and this defensive line group that want to maybe be a little bit better against the run, not have to be great against the run, but just to be a little bit better. You can see, again, right there, while you're getting number 74 peeling off onto the next direction, he's not being moved by this double team. So right there, he gets underneath, he gets his feet underneath him, he anchors through, pushes his way through, and then just forces this running back to have to choose. You can't come here now because I'm going to get you. So he allows other players to make plays, and that's where we get the quote from Justin Reed on Twitter. If you guys haven't seen it, go over to his page. And he talks about essentially being selfless, letting other players make plays and being there to help other players make those plays. And I think that Fabian Lovett is going to be one of those players on the defensive line rotation that can help other players make plays. When you can take on double teams and you can take up blocks for your linebackers and keep them clean, that's very, very important. And we know that the Chiefs have sometimes struggled with that portion of playing against the run. And that's what we saw really against the Bills in the playoffs. And that's why they continue to run the football as effectively as they did. But also why Steve Spagnuolo was like, yeah, we don't really care. If you can't really throw the ball against us, we're not going to care all that much. But I want to showcase him on the goal line, because this is also an area where I think the Chiefs defense could improve going forward. And with that, he's not the fastest guy off the ball, which we'll see in a little bit, but what he does well with this in the short areas that you have, his movements are compact. So he goes forward, he gets underneath, and he can lift. So again, it's really short and close in here. So you got him right here between the center and the guard. And just notice how this guard gets absolutely displaced, and he can become an immovable object. So right there, he's trying to get blocked down by number 69 and number 72, the center and the guard. And here he is, holding up. Eyes on the quarterback, eyes on the ball, the mesh point, but he's not being moved. And number 72 is being literally turned around. Like, he turns him around with the strength and the ability to stay in there against the double team attempt, and then lifting up through, using the strength in his legs and the pop in his hands that he really does deliver to be a difficult person to move in the run game in these short areas. And you see LSU gets 0 yards on that run. So really an impactful player against the run, against double teams. He can stack and shed when we're talking about getting hands on you and then shed you, like we saw earlier in that second clip where he can throw a guard behind him. I think that he's very good in all of those areas of football. But what we talked about just a second ago is that he's not the fastest off the ball, and that can put you behind the 8 ball. And when you don't disengage as well, something we also talked about, it can add up. And one-on-one blocks, he should be able to win pretty quickly and pretty easily. But right here, he's the last to leave, and you want to be getting after it. You want to explode off the football. You want to get into those offensive linemen. Use your physicality and the strength in your legs to really get going. So hand placement here is on the outside. He does locate the football. He comes back around, but he doesn't disengage. He just needs to kind of continue to throw off like that play we saw earlier. You have to continue to get your arms disengaged. Find different ways against one-on-one blocks to throw off your blocker. So here again, good job finding football. All right, where's that ball? Where is it? And I'm going to go ahead and then loop back around to the inside where I know that ball can go, but then he gets held up right here. Obviously, you got a little bit of a hole, but that's what you need to be able to do as an offensive lineman. He has to find different ways to be able to disengage in the short box moments like this, then, you know, inside the phone booth. Throw them off. Get them off you. Quickly disengage. Work those hands. Slap, rip. Do something different. No, not just take your hands off and hope that he lets go. It's not going to work that way. You got to work your hands much more than just kind of pushing around and trying to disengage that way. So slow off the ball. That has to get better. And use your hands more to disengage from those blockers. And I think that he will be much better against the run than he already is. So that's one of the areas. And again, he was a backup player this last year, but before that, he was an honorable mention, all ACC player for 2 years in a row as a starter. So there's experience there. He has got a lot of experience, and I was a little surprised to see him be an undrafted free agent. But I think sometimes he gets blinders. We all know that, you know, as for horses, they wear those blinders, right, so that they can't see anything outside of where they need to go. And sometimes I think that Lovett gets that way, where he expects a block to come from this way, but it actually comes from this direction, and it can drastically impact where he ends up. And since he plays a little bit high at times, those blocks that come from different ways can actually lift him up and move him off the spot. So there he does a better job of disengaging and then getting after the ball carrier, but he didn't expect the play or the block to come down from his right. So again, he's looking down here with his eyes, and I think he gets locked in and expecting that player to come after him, and then didn't really expect to get a shoulder pad in the old face mask right there. So, but being able to adapt in this situation was good. I think at the NFL level, you're going to see this play continue to work against him with guards and tackles that can get after you and continue to push and not be disengaged as quickly as he did right there. But just keeping your head on a swivel is very, very important, especially with the way that the offensive lines are starting to change a little bit. It's not just zone that we've seen in the NFL for years and over the past few years with the Sean McVays and the Cal Shanahan offenses. They're going back to running more running more powers. So you're going to get down blocks. You're going to get blocks coming from different ways. You're going to get guys going, pulling around, and someone coming to hit you. So keeping your head on a swivel, keeping your eyes in where they need to be, not always just at the block in front of you. Very important for that process. I also would like to see, honestly, I'd like to see his stance a little bit more forward. And that's probably part of the reason why he gets out of his stance so slowly, is because he's kind of just bending down. Like, he's not got pressure out forward in front. And you can really improve that by getting those feet back just a little bit, you know, staggering your feet, maybe even going to a 3-point stance to get out in front of you just a little bit more to get off the ball a bit faster. We know he's not the best pass rusher in the world, okay? He's just not. He doesn't have a pass rush tool bag. He's very limited for what he can do laterally, athletically. But, you know, he does have 35-inch arms. I think those come in handy pretty well, and he uses them right here. He knows he can't always get after the quarterback, and he's going to be on the field at times when they throw the football. So he had 3 passes defensed last year. That is a useful tool, especially for a backup player. And again, I do apologize for the quality of this one, but you're going to see again where he's going to be able to disengage just enough to get a hand up and knock that football out of the air, and then he's going to celebrate. This guy is a high energy player too. He makes a play, he gets a tackle, he's like celebrating, lifting his head all around and celebrating with not just himself, his teammates. So this is a nice job explaining that he's got some bull rush in him too. So he can really get after players down the center, right? Obviously, we saw that lateral movement just now. It's not very good, but if he gets the power moving backwards and then look, not a terrible jump. Like, for a big guy like that, it doesn't feel like he's got the best jump in the world, but ball location with his eyes, I think those are all very good things, and he can get those arms up there, knock the ball out of the sky. So at very worst, if he's on the field in some of these passing situations on second down or even on third down, if the guys are tired, he has the ability to affect the passing game in a different light than he does as a pass rusher. So being able to be multiple in the ways that you're impacting the football game, even though you're predominantly out there for, run defense, is important, and one of the reasons with his size, frame, and build that I think he's got a very good chance to make this roster. And we just highlighted his bull rush potential, right? He has all of that power, and that's why I was kind of showing you how I would like to see him get out of his stance a little bit more, get a little bit more forward, get those feet back, stagger them, maybe at a 3-point stance so you can fire off the ball a little bit and really get downhill and lay the physicality and the strength that he has and the pop that he delivers with his hands and his arm length and extension to get after it with these guys in the short area and just crush pockets. That's what he's going to be able to do in the NFL as a pass rusher. It's not going to be getting after the quarterback and really getting sacks. It's going to be how can you impact it with your length and collapsing the pocket. Because we all know that the quickest way to the quarterback is down the center. And if you're pairing him up next to Chris Jones, I know on this side, I think you can work some one-on-ones and get a favorable matchup with a guard or a center and really just deliver him. So nice job there of lifting the hands up. You can see that he works his hand underneath here to lift up the right hand of that guard to find a better way to use his right hand, which is now underneath here. No, that's not the right one. His right hand's underneath, left hand is lifting up, and he's pushing and driving with his feet to push this guy back. So this is a really nice example of how you can force yourself with physicality into there, and just really notice how he actually got the guard's hands on, behind him, essentially. So right there, lifts up with that left hand, and right here you've got the guard's hands wrapped up here, and then he's just lowering and just continuing, he tries to wrap him up there essentially. So you've got left hand here, right hand here, and he's got an arm out here trying to slap the ball away. So there's an innate understanding for him that he can really push and collapse the pockets with his strength. And I think that that's going to be impactful for him, but he's a very smart player. We talked about the experience that he has from the 5 years that he played in college and the quick identification of finding the football, whether it's the mesh point or a toss, or play action, all those things. I think he does that very, very well. And right here, he reads leverage. I'm going to give you guys a second here because I think you can all tell me what's wrong with this play and why he's able to get free and after the running back so quickly. We've talked about offensive linemen lunging forever. You don't lunge, you don't drop your head, and this is a terrible example. Actually, it's a great example of what not to do as an offensive lineman. This should never be down here. Your shoulders should never be down at the chest of a defensive lineman, but as they are, see ya. We're going to say goodbye, and Lovett does a fantastic job again of disengaging there when he realizes that leverage that he's playing with is far superior than, look how quick he actually did that too. Like this is a very quick movement. Boom, and he's gone away. Bye-bye. So we have all the experience there. He knows how to read leverage. I think he's showcased a very good ability to defeat double teams, to split double teams, and to not be a movable player in those phone booths where you can keep your linebackers free and let them finish plays. It's not about racking up stats for a guy like Fabian Lovett. It's about being a part of the whole, contributing to the defense, and being an impactful player when you get those opportunities. So keep your eyes on Fabian Lovett this training camp period and through the preseason, how he's going to impact the roster spot that he can possibly play for as the defensive line. He really can impact the run game, and I think that the Chiefs have already seen that. You know, Joe Cullen has already done that. We've already seen that in OTAs, and they're going to continue to showcase that part of his game. And hopefully just tweak a little bit of some little things about his stance, help him fire off the ball a little bit better, and use the strength that he can generate from his legs into his hands in a more effective and efficient manner. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video breakdown and really showcasing, highlighting a guy that I'm excited to see in training camp, and I hope you guys are too. If you, once again, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that sub button at RGR. You guys can come. We can continue to grow the game and learn more. We try to pass on what we know to you guys, and as we're always learning, the game is huge, and we can never know everything, but we do our best to teach you what we know, and you guys can help teach us as well. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We have more stuff. We have Gary coming up with the stats. We'll have more as training camp gets around here from St. Joe's. I can't wait to be there myself. And once again, have a great rest of your week and enjoy your guys' weekend. I'll see you next.